Welcome back. Today we have two Mercedes modules, so let's see what's going on with these. These are the two modules that have been sent to me. This one, I believe, is a relay flasher module, and then this one is a seat module. So we can see these two pipes, which is going to be for air bladders inside the seat. So it's going to be one of those fancy pump-up seats. And we have a lot of big connections there. So I can tell that's going to be relay sitting underneath there. And look at the size of those contacts. So it's going to be fairly high current. Maybe that one there is going to be your power input, some switches, but a lot of relays inside of there. So we're going to have a look inside both of these. This seat module, not 100% sure what was wrong with that one. I think maybe the whole thing doesn't work at all. So we'll have a look inside of that. Doesn't look wet or anything like that at the moment, but who knows until we open it up. So here is the seat module, and the first thing we'll need to do is get into this. So I see what looks like a security screw right there. I'm not sure how much of that is going to stop us at the moment, but it looks like a lot of this might clip together. There are a couple of bolts up the far side, but I think they might have been for mounting brackets. So let me see if I can get into this and see if we can spot any issues. So it turns out that security screw was part of the deal. So he goes right through to the other side and comes up and grabs onto that top lid. So once he's out, then we are in. And I do see another couple of security screws there as well. But nothing stands out, and I don't smell anything burnt as yet. I do see one of these funny chips with the one out, one in legs. Now, the last time I seen one of those, funnily enough, it was in the Bentley seat module. So maybe that's something along the same lines. Maybe it's even the same part to run a seat module. Well, having a look at it, it looks like this one doesn't do air. I thought it did air, but it looks like those connections might have been something else. Those were the two pipes. Now, I have seen plenty of pneumatic seats around, and I know Mercedes do have them every now and again, and I thought it might have been something to do with that. But once we open them up, they don't really go anywhere. And in the bottom then, we have all of our relays. So again, I don't see anything damaged in there. Obviously, we got a lot of diodes. Knowing as we had bad diodes before, I wonder if this one has some bad diodes as well. Maybe something like a jump start or reverse polarity somewhere has gone and done in a few diodes, but nothing immediately stands out. So I'm going to have to fight my way in now to these two security screws and see if I can pull him out completely. Actually, cancel that, as I see there is a lot of connections that run through on these bus bars, and they're running through to the big pins we have underneath. So he goes through on a bar, soldered up into there, him through on a bar, soldered into there. So that is not going to come out very easy. There's a lot of soldering there to do, but we can at least take off that top board, and we'll swing that around and have a look on the other side of that. So with that board flipped up, there is nothing really standing out at all. So everything looks pristine and clean. There's no sign of anything getting hot. There's no components on that side either. We also can get a better view into all of this side, but all I'm looking at here is absolutely pristine solder joints. That's kind of a real credit to them, considering this stuff was done in the 90s. So we are looking at over 30 years ago this was soldered, and it looks like it was done yesterday. So I suppose all I've got to do now left on this thing is just check through some of those components on the top, some of these diodes and bits and pieces, and see if any of that has got any kind of issues. I suppose there's a couple of transistors to check in there as well. There's a voltage regulator, there's a capacitor there, but apart from that, I'm not getting any clues about what to do with this. Well, our diodes are all okay, so I've gone through that, but we have a capacitor here and 1.22 ohms. That doesn't seem right to me. Well, it's not the capacitor, but something still seems to be up, as that seems to be pretty low resistance for something you would have a capacitor over. I can't see that capacitor doing a hell of a lot, so I wonder if there is something else shorted on this board as well. Persistence sure does pay off. So I've been around all of these other capacitors trying to see if I could find anything shorted, and not picking up any shorts on there at all. I'm trying to think what exactly is going on. And what is going on? Well, what was that capacitor doing? And why was that real low ohms over the top of it? Well, he goes over onto here, and he goes off to the middle leg of this, which is a transistor. So I thought, right, okay, check him out, he's okay. And I thought, well, maybe something on this one. And this one goes off onto here and into this board. And then when we go into this board, we will find, if I can hold these right, which is going to be, I never got on with chopsticks when I was a kid. All of these are shorted. Oh, actually that one might be okay. So we have, again, a short across a whole bunch of diodes in here. And with a bit of looking around, I've noticed something. And there he is, just down there. If this thing will try and focus, we can see a little bit of the copper glinting. But down there by the side of that relay, we do have a burnt trace. So something has gone on inside of there. I'm guessing it's going to be one of these diodes, but it doesn't look fun to get that board out. And we are victorious. So I've got in, I had to unsolder all of those tabs, which are all these guys that go through to the other side of the relays. We had to do the security screws, so that was a case of cutting the little sort of a slot in them with the Dremel. That managed to get through them pretty quickly, and we are in. So I don't see any more damage. There is our burnt trace down there underneath that relay, but I guess at least now I know that we don't have any other damage around, as without getting into this, there could have still been other bits and pieces. I'm fairly sure that we're going to come across some burnt out diodes, or shorted diodes rather, up here in this top section, and it looks like you probably could have got them out from the other side without fully removing everything. I think the access was there. The access for that solder repair maybe would have been a little bit tricky, but in fact you can see if you go from the bottom leg of that diode, follow the trace over onto that pad, there are a couple of spots there where you would be able to loop it onto a wire and bridge that connection anyway. But at least I know now we're kind of like, we're happy. We don't need to do anything else. Is that one? No, he's all right. That's just a trick of the light. So we have a dodgy diode somewhere, and let's see if we can track down which one it is. So our game of electronic battleships has commenced. I'm going to go with this one first. And this is the one that was kind of supposed onto that trace. So is this our guy? So let's have a look and see if I can get him here on the multimeter. Let's get those probes in a line. Oh, see if I can hold them a little bit better. I need more hands. Oh, it's like herding cats. Yes, we've got one. So we've got a hit. And the next ones, we still have other bits. I'm going to go for this big one again, as we did have a big one gone on the other one. So let's unsolder him and see what he's like. And the next guy, let's get him out. Have we got a hit or a miss? We've got another hit. Is that all? That is. Oh, no, wait. Oh, interesting. Right. That has certainly cleared up a lot, but we still do have some more in here at the back. So, two of these ones. And who was the other guy? That one there. But these ones that were showing as shorted, they aren't. So 1, 2, 3. So there's another 3 showing shorts, and well, let's target those ones next. So I went for the closest one, which is this guy, and let's see if we can get him out. Okay, and now let's have a look. Is it a hit or a miss? Oh, that is a miss. Right, so it's not that guy. So we still have the other 2 in the back. It's going to be one of those 2, 50-50. So this time I went for the second one, which is this guy, and let's check. Oh, it's a miss. It's a miss. So we still have a short on that one. So let's see if we get rid of that one as our short's gone. So this is our last one. Have we got a hit or a miss? We have a miss. So there is still a short somewhere else, and it wasn't part of those diodes. So let's have a look. Aha, there's another diode down over here. So I'm going to stick him back where he was, and I'm going to try this diode hiding off. And I suppose that was close to some of the burning. I'll get rid of him and see if that has sorted our issue. Surely this has to be our final one. Oh, don't break the relay. Have we got a hit or a miss? I'm hoping we have a hit. We don't. Oh no, so that means our shorts are still there and they're still in the pad. So something else, and it's not these guys. That diode I've had off, that diode, that diode. There's something else in that board still shorted. Our game of battle shorts is getting pretty tricky now. So I put that diode back in. These guys here, I'm pretty sure they are inductors. I'm not 100% certain. These collection of diodes there, they're not showing as a dead short. These capacitors are, though. I think he was okay, but all 4 of these were showing as shorted. So I wonder if we need to try and take those off next and see if that's going to be our issue, or are we going to need to break out the thermals? I have the 4 capacitors out now. One of them did fall apart. It started off with a little bit of a chip coming off the top, and then his legs separated. But was that me, or was that the issue? Let's have a look and see. Oh no. The short is still there, and it wasn't that guy, but I'm still going to need to replace him. So here we go with a risky bit, which is the voltage injection. So I have this little mini power supply set up at 3 volts and 300 milliamps. I've gone through and connected onto those 2 tabs. Those are where some of the diodes were. So there was 2 diodes. One used to run over here, one over there. I was going on this one, then I realized this one is the one that goes over to the burnt out trace and it doesn't go anywhere. But I still see a short between these. So this is a ground tab between these 2. The big diode would have been on the back, the smaller one on the front, and we are getting the short on that. So, I mean, we must be getting somewhere, because the short that was over this capacitor has gone. He was in one of the other diodes, but we still have something, and it's very low ohm. So I don't think it is going to be anything like they are the flyback diodes, because we are in like 0.3, 0.4 of an ohm, which is very low resistance. You know, the coils on these relays should be a lot higher. In fact, let me check the resistance on a relay coil. That's one out of the indicator module, but yeah, 95 ohms. And funny enough, on those little glass diodes, that's what I see on those. So those glass diodes might be the flyback. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 relays, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 diodes there. And in fact, there is another glass one over there. So I am thinking that the flyback diodes are those little glass ones, those red ones you can see just at the end of the ribbon. So let's go and switch the power on and see if any shorts turn up. Well, annoyingly, nothing really is showing up at all. So all we tend to have are these 3 diodes over here, and that's kind of about what I'd expect, but that doesn't seem to be the big short that I'm expecting. So I'm not quite sure where it is just yet. I'm going to move on to another diode now. So those ones there with a little red stripe on them, those are ones that are actively showing as being shorted right now, and I'm going to connect him up. I have reverse biased it, as if I have it around the other way, power would flow through that diode anyway, as it's meant to. It's the reverse direction and shorting that I want to figure out. So hopefully, if that diode is good, and it was good because we took it out and checked it, the power shouldn't really be flowing through that diode apart from a slight amount of leakage current. So all we need to do now is just wait a little bit longer for that to cool down, and then we can get a good look and see what happens. So that is nice and cool now, to the point of you can't really make out too much. If I move that down, I just sort of warmed him up, we can start seeing bits and pieces. So that is around on those. So let's power him on and see what he does. So he has dropped down, not got a huge amount of watts going in, but it is pumping some power in, and there's nothing really obvious changing. 3.5 volts, 350 milliamps, and still don't really see anything warming up. It looks like we need to go even more. 6 volts and 600 milliamps, but still we're not getting anything showing up.
They're all around us, man. Jesus.
Maybe they don't show up on infrared at all.
There's quite an obvious reason for that. Now, because it is quite a low resistance short, that means it's just passing the voltage straight through. Where heat comes is where it comes across resistance, and the only places we got warming up are the connections on these cheapo Chinese leads. Same on over here on this one there. One of these then we'll see start warming up, but nothing really is warming up on the board because there's very little resistance and the power is going straight in one side and out the other. So that means we're going to have to go a little bit more smarter and start following stuff. Jackpot! I have got it. I figured it out. So let's have a bit of a recap. So we started off detecting a short over that capacitor, and that was down to a couple of diodes over here. Sorry, there were a couple there, and I think there was one over there as well. But there was still some extra shorts hanging around, and there's that capacitor that kind of broken. Anyway, we have gone through and I have figured out what's going on. So I unsoldered this section. That ribbon cable, I mean, it's flexible, but it was never really meant to be used as a hinge. So I took that out this loop. Two reasons. One, it rules out everything on that side of the board, but also obviously I'm not going to be flexing around as much. But we still had shorts showing on a few of those diodes. You'll see the 3 of them there with a little red dot on them, and there's one over here as well. Those were showing as still having a short on them, and I was looking around trying to track out where that goes and follow the board through. You can see all those little dots I've gone on that trace there just to say this is one of these ones that seems to be shorted, but I have figured it out. Let me show you now what the missing link was. So a short over a diode just doesn't make any sense. If it is sort of 0 ohms to either side, it can't really do anything. So it's giving a clue there that something is up, and that's obviously, it's something unusual. But what if it isn't always shorted? And this is what's going on. So if I tap onto that diode, it's this guy. And they aren't all the same short, they are all slightly different shorts. So if we go then onto this one, here I think there's this relay. This one does nothing, nothing, nothing. It's just a short over the contacts of these relays. So those relays can flick between a couple of different contacts and they go to different things. This one then is number 1, which is this relay over here. Oh, hold steady. This is on the tricky side. This relay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the diodes that are showing shorts are over each one. The final one is this guy, and he goes off then to our relay in front of it there, which I don't know, it might actually be shorted on. Yep, there it is. So each one of those diodes, although it looked like a short, it's only when these relays are off that it's just shunting stuff to ground and making it look like a short. When it's on, then these diodes are working as they should. So that means then this thing is done. So now we are back on track. So we need to do one trace repair here, stick our 2 diodes back in, new capacitor over there, and then solder our ribbon cable back on. And with that trace repaired, with a little bit of that copper enameled wire, this stuff, I don't know what the enamel was on that, but it seemed very heat resistant, bit of a struggle to get that solder on. But now we have our big TVS diode that's going to go over here, our smaller little diode, and then our capacitor that's going to be for one of those. And then finally we've got the ribbon. And once our electronics is back together, we just got to get him back into our main board and our contacts. So this is what I had to remove earlier, was all of these pin contacts here to separate him off our plastic. To get to our relays are sitting on the other side of this. And then we have our few security screws in there as well. And these are the standoffs that the top board is going to flip back onto. And that's the end of that adventure. So I have him all soldered back in together. We have our board screwed on, our security screws put in there as well. We've got that one security screw still sitting out there. He's for the outside. He goes through that hole to hold the case on, the lid and the bottom. But we have it all done, and fingers crossed this is going to work now as soon as it's plugged in. All because we had those two diodes, less said about that capacitor the better, and obviously we had a bit of a burnt trace. But we got there in the end, and that, I guess, is job done. So thanks all for watching, and I will see you on the next one.